First leg, Michael, to throw first. Game on.
Paul Nicholson alongside me for the world #1, Michael van Gerwen, and the #9 seed, Rapid Ricky Evans.
I've just been looking at the head-to-head records, and it tells a bit of a story, this one, because Ricky's only beaten Michael once out of 8 attempts, but they haven't played each other on the European Tour for 6 years.
Yes, it is a long, long while.
Used to like playing each other in UK Open qualifiers. That happened on 4 occasions.
126.
But, yeah, Ricky hasn't beaten Michael since November of 2013,
58.
so 6 years of pain, but he hasn't played him that many times. I think we've got a slightly different Ricky Evans on our hands these days.
Yes, certainly. That was a day, as it happens,
57.
where Ricky Evans went on and made the semi-finals. It was one of those days that even back then, Ricky Evans, he'd do something and he thought,
60.
"Wow, hang on, he's not just quick, this lad, he's a real talent." But the problem was, for Ricky Evans back in 2013, 14, 15, 16 even, he'd have 1 or 2 of those days a year, and that was it. And yet he always stayed on the tour, always doing enough, despite not appearing in a lot of the major TV tournaments. That says something.
124.
Now he's doing it more regularly. There's MVG. Where's he going? Okay,
Double
double 2.
120.
Cheeky.
Yeah, it is a bit cheeky. He probably should have been looking at treble 16 there. But at the same
93.
time,
Michael, you have won
the
4.
lie looked good, and he illustrated that by
He's on
following
the
it into the
first
treble
leg.
20 and getting a dart at the
Second leg,
double. So
ready to
I
throw
think
first. Game.
if we were to push that thing aside, we'd find that
57.
Michael's feeling pretty confident. He only does stuff like that when he's feeling really good. Now, I was just taking a little
140.
comfort break after the last match and ran into Michael in the corridor, and he looked steely. One of those looks as if to say,
134.
nothing else than winning will do. And the way he started this match suggests to me that he is ready to do such that.
well, he was very good against Kyle Anderson, averaged almost 103. And that's the first time we've seen him average 100 on the Euro Tour for
45.
quite a while. He started all right against Jeffrey Desvan, and then he seemed to lose his focus a little bit. And maybe that was the kick up the backside that he needed, because how many times have we seen it on the European Tour? 32 times he has won a European Tour title. In many of those, somebody's running close. Maybe you had a chance to beat him. If you don't take that chance, that's it. Game over. Give him the title, give him the money. He's going home to Blyman with all the cash and yet another trophy.
The scary thing is, yes, he has won 32 European Tour titles. That doesn't even include his European Championships,
Yes, exactly.
which a lot of people have said to me should count as a European Tour title and a major. But you can't drink from both cups.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly think you can do that nowadays, now that they've made it so streamlined where you only get to the European Championship by playing on the Euro Tour, but it wasn't always the case, was it? It was kind of a mishmash of what you'd done on the floor and all sorts of stuff.
If you were to count the European Championships as a European Tour title, you'd have to count the Players' Championship finals as a floor title as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can't have it both ways. Oh, he's looking good this evening.
This is looking very good. Michael van Gerwen is in the groove, and Ricky Evans,
140.
well, he's trying, but at the minute, he's struggling.
He's utilising that treble 19 well this evening as Michael, and it
93.
really did work for him this afternoon against Jeffrey Desvan as well. 127 in game needed. 127 in game not
59.
hit.
Michael, you require 50.
Probably because he had the wrong referee.
MVG, bang in the middle of the single 18,
He's on the third leg.
straight into the
Michael
double
Van
16, and
Gerwen.
Michael van
Ricky to
Gerwen.
throw first.
This is looking very much like the MVG of 6 months
58.
ago. The man who was hoovering up titles left, right and centre. At one point earlier on this year, he was winning more than half of
96.
the tournaments he was entering. Now, even for MVG, that is special. He typically wins between 40 and 50% of the tournaments he enters, but he was up at like 55%. And there were big ones in there. Obviously the Worlds, the Premier League as well, the Masters.
97.
But then all of a sudden, he has a little spell where he's not playing so well. We're not seeing very many 100 averages.
133.
The match play is obviously a massive disappointment for him. Been a while since he's won that.
Do you think, though, that looking at the World Series events, particularly, he was very comfortable getting focused against Gary Anderson, and the pace of Ricky Evans isn't that dissimilar to Gary, so maybe he's comfortable with this pace.
When he's allowed to get into a rhythm, he is almost unstoppable. We've seen it. Some of his best displays have come against the likes of Michael Smith, quick player, Steve Beaton, very quick and regular player. Ricky Evans.
92. Michael, you require 72.
Cannot pin tops. And if this 72 goes, which it does, and he goes with a minimum of fuss, Michael van Gerwen is threatening to not only blast his way past Rapid Ricky, but to do so with the highest average of the tournament so far this weekend, because right now it is somewhere around the 107 mark.
I'm not really sure why Ricky has been so stubborn on that 60. He's being very Max Hopp-like.
Well, particularly when Ricky likes to think of himself as one of the best switchers down to treble 19 in the world. He said that before.
Oh, he's going into ultra mode now. Is Ricky Evans? He's speeding up. He's going into time 16.
140.
Judging by Michael's face on dart 2 there, I think he was scared that it was going to drop out initially. Then he realised it wasn't going to. He was in two minds whether to switch or stick with the 60.
18s. Bullseye. No, that's come out of the 20 there, I think.
Yeah, I think that was off the 25 wire.
Ricky, you require 170.
Well, some way to get in the game, but it's just too much. And I mean, there is a golf. Ricky Evans is averaging in the low 90s. He's only been allowed one dart at double. His MVG is not giving him any chance at all. That is 50 taken out in 2 darts once again for a 14 darter. He maintains his average around the 108 mark, and he is one leg away from a whitewash victory.
I was saying in the last game with Rob Malarkey that this is supposed to be the most difficult game of the weekend. Michael's playing his best. This is the best I've seen him play for months.
77.
And who's to say he's not going to sign off in the quarterfinals with a 9 darter?
Well, we have seen MVG throw 9 darters on the Euro Tour. Seen him do one this year. He is the most likely to produce perfection out of anybody in the world, and gravity robs us of the chance. And Michael van Gerwen lets the board know what he thinks of that.
I wouldn't want to be that treble 20 wire right now. It's just had a real telling off.
96.
Because I think if he gets that 180, the 9 goes. He's been in the mood.
He certainly has. Oh, well.
33.
He's not managed to leave himself a finish.
100.
Oh, well.
I don't think that was a mathematical error. I think that was just a poor dart. It just happened to leave him one short.
59.
Well, he's in danger of losing a leg now, and Michael plays the game sometimes, or most of the time, to try and bagel you. And he's got that exact chance now, a 112, to send Ricky home with no legs in the quarterfinals.
Well, the number of poor visits Michael van Gerwen has had in this game, you can probably count on one hand. And in the number of legs that Ricky Evans has won in this game, you can count on no hands, because Michael van Gerwen has battered his way through to the semi-finals of the Austrian Darts Championship. He is on